What's up, everyone? Welcome to New Gameplay Today. My name is Marcus Stewart, and I have not one, but two guests. First, Kyle Hilliard. Hello.
Hello. I'm excited to see this thing.
Yes. And I've also got Wesley LeBlanc. Hi, sir.
Hello. I'm excited to play this, or not play this, see this, because I played it at Summer Game Fest in 2023, and it was great.
Yeah, this is Papertrail. This is a new game coming out next week on May 21st, developed by Newfangled Games, a cool new indie that this is my first chance getting to play it, but I've also kind of kept my eye on it over the last year or two, I should say. And it's a cool game where, as the name suggests, you're like playing around with paper, where you play as this young girl named Paige, who for some reason has the ability to, in her words, manipulate time and space by folding
reality.
Yeah, like she can just manipulate reality, and by folding it, like it's a big piece of paper, which even she acknowledges is kind of like odd. People don't usually do that. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but
I can't do it. No.
It's pretty usual here in Florida, but I could see that being different elsewhere.
Yeah, in other states, it's pretty common. And yeah, so it's a cool little game. I played the first couple chapters of it, and the story is that Paige is running away from home because she wants to go to college. I think she was actually accepted to a university, and she just wants to get out and see the world and sort of find herself. But her parents, who are very loving, they're also very protective, so they're like, oh, we don't want you to leave the nest, basically. So she more or less kind of forces their hand. It's just like, well, I'm just going to run away. I'm just going to go do my own things. I gotta get out of here. So this is the beginning of the game in your little town. And yeah, as you can see, the mechanics are that pretty much everything you see is divided into pages of paper, and you can use either the cursor if you're playing on PC, or I'm playing on PS5. So you just use the analog stick to sort of click and drag either the sides of the screen or the corners of it, and you're folding them together to create paths and solve puzzles. And this is the most basic that it gets. This is the beginning of the game where they're kind of still showing you all the here's all the available directions that you can fold the paper. But at least from what I've played so far, it does get a little bit more complicated. But I say even in this beginning section, it gets a little trippy, just because you're since the backside of each, I guess, page or level has another environment, you're trying to use the images on the backside to connect with the front side, kind of overlap, like we're seeing here with this broken lighthouse. The guy's like, hey, can you fix this lighthouse? And so you can see on the backside, there's a perfectly good lighthouse, and I'm trying to just overlay there. And there we go. Pretty cool, huh?
So on analog stick, are you using the stick to drag that corner down, or do you just how does that work with the analog stick? Because I played on mobile when I tested it out last year, and it actually seemed like a really good mobile first case. I was I think I actually would prefer this on a touchscreen phone.
Honestly,
I'm curious how it feels on sticks.
Yeah, I probably would prefer that too. On sticks, it's fine. You're using the sticks to just steer the cursor, but you're actually dragging it, or grabbing and dragging it with the triggers. So you use the right trigger to sort of grab the page, and then you're pulling it down with the sticks.
Okay.
So it's a lot of trigger stuff, which on PS5 it automatically adapts to the adaptive triggers, which got a bit much for me, because the adaptive triggers will start jumping around and freaking out every time you want to use them and stuff like that. And I actually had to turn that off because it just became too much of a distraction. So I'd probably recommend doing the same if you're playing this on PS5. But I think I forgot that this was also coming to mobile, and that actually sounds like a great way to play this game, or Switch, because it is coming to Switch, and I would have to guess it probably uses the Switch touchscreen.
For mobile, this might have changed. This was something I learned last year, but it's like a Netflix mobile game. So I don't know if it'll be go to the App Store and buy it, but I know Netflix subscribers can access it through their Netflix games interface. I don't know. I've never really messed with it much, but I think this might be the first I do.
So yeah, I mean, that's basically you just need a Netflix account, and then it'll just be okay, you can download the game as a separate app.
Yeah, there's a screen that comes up that says, we'll allow it.
Thank you, Netflix.
So we're seeing
when you're not in tutorial, are you kind of just like, is the puzzle sort of like trying all the different ways to fold paper until you find the right combination?
pretty much like it's pretty much just pathfinding. Like all the obstacles I've seen have just been like, here's like a weird disconnected route. Figure out the right way to fold the scene so that you can get from A to B. And then along the way, there's like hidden collectibles that you can find that you got to fold the screen in different ways to try to reach to. I reached a point in the story where they introduced objects, whereas like I had to push boulders around to put in some pressure plates. And then that added another sort of tricky layer because you can't move the page that the boulder occupies. I guess the idea is like maybe it's like a paperweight. So it's like, okay, I need to get this out of this scene so I can fold this scene in a certain way and then maybe bring it back to that scene just to get it out of my way or to get it where it needs to be. And then eventually, and we'll see it here towards the end, is that you get the ability to look at the reverse side of the page without having to fold the paper, which does make things easier and it allows you to sort of plan ahead because then you can just hit a button and it's like, okay, here's what the back of the page looks like. What do I need to fold to get something that I see in the corner of the backside to get to where I need to be on the front side? And then in between sort of like the main levels are these sort of cutscenes that you're doing where you have to fold the page in a certain way to continue the cutscene basically. So it's a pretty cool little interactive scene as you're telling the story. And even this can get tricky sometimes. There were a couple times where I was like, wait, how do you want me to fold this? And I would just be fiddling around a little bit. But I don't know if you see those little circles up in the upper left-hand corner, but those are kind of your indicators of like, okay, you're almost there. Like, oh, not quite. Like when you filled a circle, that's when you've got it. So if you see it halfway, you're like, okay, I'm on the right track, but maybe not quite there.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So it gives you a little bit of a hint. Okay.
Yeah. I like this little puzzle. I thought this was pretty clever. See, I'm fiddling around, but like, what do you want from me here? And you're like, oh,
close your suitcase. Okay.
How much of this have you played so far?
I've played probably at least the first hour, first 90 minutes. Like I'm on, I guess, I don't know if it's divided into chapters, but I'm in the third like section, like I'm in a brand new area. Gotcha. There's like this prologue chapter, and then after this, there's like a full other chapter, and then I'm past that. So yeah, I'm in a completely different biome now. I haven't seen what new mechanics are introduced there. Oh yeah, I kind of cut ahead just to show how to get that secret that I saw earlier. So you're collecting these origami pieces that you can, and then, the menu tells you how many are in each world. So it's sort of like another thing to look out for as we jump ahead towards pretty much the exit area of your town here. I come across this weird ethereal stag. And I like this.
Yeah, I get the sense that there's like more mechanics happening, or is it just going to be folding? Because I do like the puzzle design, but I wonder, like, if this is like 4 hours, I wonder if just folding until you make a picture gets boring after a little bit. Although it is a super interesting idea, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think that's sort of the core of the game is folding to create a scene that you can traverse properly. I think they just introduce different ways of doing that. So this might be a good example where you're using it to solve a puzzle here. Where you're like, hey, I need to fold the page a certain way. And I'm actually curious to see if you guys can kind of pick up what I'm trying to put down here before I do. You kind of see there, you're like, okay.
Create the circle. Close the circle.
It seems like a game, and this is not meant to be critical in any way, but like it seems like a game that won't be very long, that has this mechanic that, won't overstay its sort of welcome. Like that's like a good indie game. It's like we have this cool idea and we're going to do everything we can with it, but we're not making some like 20-hour experience here,
Yeah, that's my assumption too. And like I said, so far it's sort of just been variations on a theme of like, that is what you're going to be doing in this game is folding, but maybe we'll throw another sort of like obstacle that you haven't seen before, like here where they're like, okay, now you got to connect these kind of like dice paths, but the only way to make a path walkable is that you got to connect the same die number. So I need that number 2 up there to get it over. So you're like, hey, how do I get the number 2 over? It's like, okay, I just fold a diagonal. There you go. And again, this is like the simplest version of that. And then immediately you're like, all right, now figure this out.
Okay, yeah, it's getting more interesting. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
More puzzly.
But yeah, we can start to wind down here. I'm enjoying the game so far. I think it's like, to your point, Wes, I think it'll be a stronger experience if it's shorter, and that is sort of my assumption, because I've liked what I played, but it was also one of those games where it's just like, all right, this could potentially maybe wear out its welcome if it was like extended longer than maybe 5 hours or so, something like that. But it just depends on how they iterate over time, which I am interested to see how far they push this concept. So I'm going to keep playing it past where I am and kind of see where it takes me. But yeah, it'll be out May 21st. It'll be on everything, both PlayStation consoles, Xbox, Switch, PC, iOS, Android, wherever you want to play this thing, it will be there. So yeah, thanks for joining me, guys.
Thanks for having us.
For showing off the game.